My family refused to help when I was homeless at 19. Now I own the apartment complex they're being evicted from and they don't know it's me. Just a quick favor before I continue. Subscribe if you haven't yet and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. I might give you a shout out next time. I was 19 when my mother locked me out. Not metaphorically, literally changed the locks while I was at my second shift job at Burger King. I remember standing on that porch at 11:47 p.m., my key refusing to turn, my breath fogging in the February cold. I knocked, then pounded. My younger brother Devin cracked the window. Mama said, "Don't come back. She's done with you." Through the glass, I could see my Aunt Rhonda on the couch, nodding approval like this was justice. My stomach dropped. 3 days earlier, I'd refused to give Mama my entire paycheck. I'd needed $60 for my community college textbooks. "You living under my roof, you contribute everything," she'd screamed. I'd said no. Now my clothes were in trash bags on the curb, already dusted with snow. I called my cousin Tamika. Voicemail. Called my Uncle Bernard. He answered, heard my situation and said, "Baby girl, your mama's right. You grown now. Figure it out." I sat on those bags until 3 a.m. crying, scrolling through my contacts. 27 family members in my phone. Not one answered after that first rejection. They'd all chosen sides and it wasn't mine. A police officer found me at dawn. "You can't stay here, miss." I wanted to explain, but what could I say? My own blood had thrown me away like garbage. That morning, I walked to the Greyhound station with $213 to my name, no plan, and a heart that felt like shattered glass. I didn't know then that this betrayal would forge me into something they'd never recognize, someone they'd eventually fear. The first week homeless, I learned that dignity is a luxury. I slept in a 24-hour laundromat on Lexington Avenue, pretending to wait for clothes that didn't exist. The attendant, Mr. Park, knew but never said anything. He'd leave yesterday's sandwiches near the vending machine. I showered at the community center on 5th, telling them I had a gym membership I couldn't afford to renew. My manager at Burger King, Denise, a thick woman with kind eyes, noticed my situation when I started taking extra shifts. "You got somewhere to go, Zaria?" she asked one Tuesday. I lied. She didn't believe me. But she did something beautiful. She started, accidentally, making too many breakfast sandwiches, letting me take them home. Home. That word felt like mockery. I was living in a storage unit I'd rented for $89 a month, sneaking in after the facility closed. No heat. No water. Just me, a sleeping bag, and the crushing weight of abandonment. I'd think about Mama, how she'd spent $300 on her hair the same week she threw me out. How Aunt Rhonda had just bought a new iPhone. How they'd all gathered for Cousin Jamal's birthday party 2 weeks later. And I saw the photos on Facebook. My brother Devin had tagged everyone. Everyone but me. I wasn't just homeless. I was erased. That's when something inside me crystallized into pure, cold determination. I opened my laptop at the public library and started researching. Real estate. Property management. Wealth building. If my family could discard me this easily, I'd become someone they couldn't ignore. Someone they'd need. Her name was Patricia Donovan and she changed everything. I met her at the library where I'd been studying real estate investment books for 3 months straight. She was elegant, mid-50s, with silver hair and the kind of posture that announced wealth before words could. I was taking notes on property acquisition when she sat across from me. "You've been reading the same book series I started with 30 years ago," she said, gesturing to my stack. We talked for 2 hours. I told her everything, not for sympathy but because she asked direct questions and I was tired of lying. "My parents died in a car accident when I was 23, Patricia said. Left me nothing but debt. Now I own 42 properties across 3 states. She handed me her card. I need an assistant. Someone hungry. You eat breakfast. The next morning, I met her at a cafe where coffee cost more than I'd spent on food all week. She ordered for both of us. Here's the deal, Zarya. I'll pay you $18 an hour, teach you everything I know, and give you a room in one of my properties rent-free for 6 months. After that, you're on your own. You waste this opportunity, I'll cut you loose without hesitation. You use it, you'll never be helpless again. I almost cried into my overpriced omelet. Why me? Patricia's eyes were steel. Because desperate people work harder than comfortable ones. Because you remind me of who I was. And because I believe in calculated revenge, the kind that's legal and profitable. That afternoon, I moved into a studio apartment in Riverside Gardens. It had heating, running water, a door that locked from the inside. I stood in the shower for 40 minutes, watching months of shame circle the drain. Working for Patricia was like drinking from a fire hose. She woke me at 5 a.m. for property inspections, taught me tenant law over lunch, and made me sit through city council meetings about zoning regulations. Real estate isn't about buildings, she'd say. It's about information, timing, and knowing what people need before they do. Within 6 months, I was managing 3 of her smaller properties. Within a year, I was analyzing deals, negotiating with contractors, and understanding cap rates like a second language. I saved every penny, lived on ramen and ambition. While Patricia paid me, I was building something else. A credit score, a business plan, a future. Meanwhile, on social media, I watched my family's life unfold like a reality show I wasn't cast in. Mama got a new boyfriend, some guy named Troy who wore too much cologne in his profile pictures. Aunt Rhonda posted about her struggle to make rent, asking for prayers and Cash App donations. Devin was 19 now, my age when they'd discarded me, still living home with no job and big dreams of being a rapper. They'd rewritten history. At Thanksgiving, Mama posted, "Thankful for my real family who stick together through everything." 43 likes. I'd been gone 2 years. Not one of them had reached out. Not for my 20th birthday. Not for Christmas. Radio silence like I'd never existed. But I'd learned something crucial from Patricia. The best revenge isn't explosion, it's expansion. You don't destroy your enemies. You outgrow them so completely they become irrelevant. I was growing. They had no idea how much. It was a Wednesday afternoon when my business phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. "Zarya Coleman?" a woman's voice asked. My stomach tightened. Nobody called me Coleman anymore. I'd been using my middle name, Simone, professionally to avoid any connection to my past. Speaking. "This is Jennifer Wu from Clearwater Property Management. We're liquidating a portfolio, and Patricia Donovan suggested you might be interested in the Meadowbrook Apartments complex. Are you in a position to make a significant investment?" Meadowbrook. My breath caught. That was the complex where my family lived. All of them. Mama had moved there 3 years ago. Aunt Rhonda was in Building C. Uncle Bernard and his wife in Building A. Even Cousin Tamika had an apartment there with her 2 kids. "Tell me more," I said, forcing my voice steady. The complex was struggling. Deferred maintenance, high turnover, and an absentee owner who'd let everything slide. They wanted $800,000. It needed another $200 in immediate repairs. $1 million project. I had $400,000 saved and invested. Patricia had taught me about partnership structures, private lending, and creative financing. Over the next 3 weeks, I structured a deal that would have made my mentor proud. Patricia herself came in for 20%. I found 2 other investors. We closed on January 15th, exactly 4 years after I'd been thrown out. The ownership was buried under an LLC, Resilience Property Holdings. My name appeared nowhere public. I stood in the parking lot that first day as the new owner, watching Mama's car pull into her assigned spot. She was laughing on her phone, oblivious. I smiled. This wasn't revenge. This was resurrection. I scheduled a full property inspection for the following Monday, hiring the most thorough company in the state. I needed documentation. Every code violation, every maintenance issue, every lease discrepancy. The report came back at 247 pages. Mama's unit. Unauthorized occupant, her boyfriend Troy wasn't on the lease. Unreported pet, apparently they had a pit bull, and she was 2 months behind on rent. The previous management had been too lazy to enforce anything. Aunt Rhonda. 4 months behind subletting her second bedroom illegally on Airbnb. Uncle Bernard. Current on rent but had made unauthorized modifications to his unit, including knocking out a wall. Cousin Tamika. 3 months behind, breaking the occupancy limit with 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. My brother Devin was living with Mama, of course. 23 years old, no job, contributing nothing. The pattern was familiar. I called an all-staff meeting with the property management team I'd inherited. We're implementing new standards, I announced. Every unit gets inspected. Every lease gets reviewed. Every violation gets documented. We follow the law to the letter. No exceptions, no favors. My assistant manager, Carlos, a middle-aged man who'd worked there for 12 years, shifted uncomfortably. Ma'am, the previous owner was pretty relaxed about enforcement. These folks are gonna be upset. I understand, I said. But we're running a business, not a charity. Send the notices. 30 days to cure violations or face eviction proceedings. That afternoon I sat in my downtown office, a real office with my name on the door, and thought about that 19-year-old girl on the porch. She'd needed 30 days too. She'd gotten 30 seconds. The notices hit like a bomb. Within 48 hours my business phone was flooded with messages. Tenants begging for extensions. Tenants claiming hardship. Tenants threatening legal action they couldn't afford. I had my property manager, Lisa, a sharp woman I'd hired to replace the incompetent previous management, handle most of it. But I listened to some voicemails on speaker with Patricia sitting across from my desk. One was from Aunt Rhonda. This is ridiculous. I've been living here 5 years and now suddenly y'all wanna act brand new? I got kids. You can't just kick people out before Christmas. It was February. Patricia raised an eyebrow. Another from a number I recognized as Uncle Bernard's wife, Keisha. My husband is a veteran. We have rights. This new management company is predatory, coming in here trying to displace long-term residents. They'd paid rent on time once in the last 6 months. Then Mama's voice, dripping with that specific indignation she'd perfected. I need to speak to whoever's in charge. This is discrimination. Y'all targeting black families and I will get a lawyer. My son knows people. I almost laughed. Devin knew people. He knew his Xbox friends and the guys he smoked weed with behind the building. You okay? Patricia asked. I nodded. I'm perfect. But I wasn't. Hearing their voices after 4 years of silence felt like picking at a wound that hadn't healed right. They still sounded the same, entitled, aggressive, always the victim. Never accountable. Want me to handle their cases personally? Patricia offered. No, I said. I need to stay invisible a little longer. Let them cure the violations or face consequences. Same as everyone else. No special treatment. Patricia smiled. You've learned well. Tamika posted about it on Facebook. Family meeting tonight at Mama's place. This apartment situation is serious. We need to stick together. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. Old habits. By 9 p.m. the comments section was a war zone. Uncle Bernard. These corporate vultures buying up property trying to push out the community. Aunt Rhonda. We need to organize. Tenant rights. Cousin Jamal. Y'all should just pay your rent on time. He didn't live at Meadowbrook. Aunt Rhonda's response. Mind your business. What they didn't know. I'd installed new security cameras throughout the property as part of our safety upgrades. What they really didn't know. I could see them gathering in Mama's apartment through the hallway camera timestamp logs. 11 family members plus Troy and his brother. I had Lisa pull the audio from the community complaint we'd received about the noise. A neighbor had called at 10:47 p.m. In the recording I could hear Mama's voice loud and clear through the walls. We've been here longer than this company owned the building. They can't just come in and change everything. Troy's voice aggressive. I'm telling you we should all just stop paying. What they gonna do, evict everybody? That's bad press. Uncle Bernard. We need to find out who owns this company. Put pressure on them directly. Devin. Probably some rich white dude who don't care about nothing but money. I sat in my car in that same parking lot listening through my phone and felt something cold settle in my chest. They were planning organized resistance against rules everyone else followed. They wanted special treatment. The difference now. I had the power. And they had no idea who they were fighting. Aunt Rhonda became the first official eviction filing. She'd ignored every notice, paid nothing toward her back rent, and had actually increased her Airbnb activity, probably trying to make quick money. She'd also posted on Facebook, "This management company can catch these hands. I dare them to try to evict me. I know my rights." She didn't know her rights. She knew slogans. The eviction process is slow and specific. Notice to cure. Notice to quit. Court filing. Hearing. Judgment. Writ of possession. Every step documented, legal, proper. Patricia had taught me, the law is your shield and your sword. Use it correctly and you're untouchable. The court date was set for March 15th. I made sure I'd be there sitting in the back watching. I wore a charcoal suit and dark sunglasses, hair pulled back tight. Unrecognizable from the girl they'd discarded. Rhonda showed up in jeans and attitude, no lawyer, just Troy's brother who apparently knew about legal stuff. The judge was a black woman in her 60s, no patience for nonsense. She reviewed the documents. Notices properly served, multiple violations documented, no rent paid in 5 months, illegal subletting proven through bank records we'd subpoenaed. "Ms. Coleman," the judge said, looking at Rhonda, "do you have any documentation of hardship or any payment toward the owed amount?" "I've been going through things," Rhonda started. "We all been going through things. That's not documentation. Do you have proof of inability to pay? Medical bills? Job loss paperwork?" It's just been hard, Your Honor." The judge's expression didn't change. Judgment for the plaintiff. "You have 7 days to vacate." Rhonda exploded. "This is bullshit. This system is designed to..." "Bailiff," the judge interrupted. I watched Rhonda being escorted out, still yelling about injustice. She'd never mentioned the $300 she'd spent at the casino 2 weeks ago. I'd seen it on Facebook. Mama was next, but her hearing was different. She'd managed to scrape together 1 month's rent, probably borrowed from someone, and came with a legal aid attorney. I watched from my usual spot in the back. The attorney argued hardship, asked for a payment plan, mentioned Mama's medical conditions that had no documentation. But they'd also made a critical error. Mama brought Devin with her for support. Devin, who wasn't on the lease. The attorney presented Mama's case, explaining how she'd fallen behind due to reduced hours at her job. My attorney, Marcus, a shark in an expensive suit, listened politely. Then he presented our evidence. Bank statements showing Mama had spent $800 at a spa in January. Social media posts of her and Troy at a steakhouse 3 times in February. Ring camera footage showing Devin and Troy carrying in a brand new 65-inch TV. Most damaging, Mama's own Facebook post from 6 days ago. Just because I'm going through it doesn't mean I can't treat myself. Life is short. The judge's expression told the whole story. Ms. Coleman, you're claiming inability to pay rent while documenting considerable discretionary spending? Mama's lawyer jumped in. Your Honor, people are allowed to have lives. People who pay their rent are allowed to have lives. People who don't pay rent while spending lavishly are demonstrating choice, not hardship. Judgment for eviction. 30 days. Mama turned around, scanning the courtroom like she could find someone to blame. Her eyes passed right over me. I was invisible. Nobody. I remembered being 19 on that porch, invisible then too. The difference now. I'd chosen this invisibility. This was strategic. This was power. The evictions created a domino effect. Tamika, seeing what happened to Rhonda and Mama, suddenly came up with 3 months back rent, probably from her tax return. She wanted to stay. I had Lisa offer her a new lease with strict terms. Rent due on the 1st, no exceptions, maximum 4 occupants, regular inspections. Tamika signed, complaining the whole time on Facebook about predatory landlords, while simultaneously agreeing to every term. Uncle Bernard tried a different approach. He called the business office, asking to speak to ownership about making a deal. I took the call, disguising my voice slightly. Resilience Property Holdings, how can I help you? Yeah, I need to talk to whoever's in charge. I'm a long-term tenant, military veteran, and I think we can work something out man to man. I'm listening. Look, I know I'm behind, but I've been here 5 years. That should count for something. The previous owner understood community. This new corporate stuff is destroying neighborhoods. I let the silence stretch. Mr. Coleman, you're 4 months behind on rent. You've made unauthorized structural changes to the unit. You've had multiple noise complaints. What exactly should count for something? I fought for this country, and I respect that. But this is a business transaction. You're in breach of contract. You have 2 options. Pay what you owe plus repair costs for the wall you removed, or vacate voluntarily. That's cold-blooded. No, sir. Cold-blooded was leaving your niece homeless at 19. This is just business. The words were out before I could stop them. Silence on the other end. What did you say? I hung up. My hands were shaking. I'd almost blown everything. Almost revealed myself before the endgame. Patricia called me 5 minutes later. You okay? He doesn't know it was me. The voice was different enough. I didn't ask if he knew. I asked if you're okay. I wasn't sure. It was Devin who figured it out. He'd always been the smartest of them, just lazy. He'd gotten curious about Resilience Property Holdings and did what I'd done 4 years ago. He researched. Found the LLC filing. Found the partnership structure. Found Patricia Donovan's name. Then he found articles about Patricia's young protege who'd risen from homelessness to property ownership. The article was 2 years old, featured a photo of me from behind at a property, and used only my middle name, Simone. But there was one detail. Simone credits her start to being forced into independence at 19. Devin put it together. He showed up at my office on a Thursday afternoon. The receptionist called up. There's a Devin Coleman here. Says it's personal. My heart hammered. Send him up. He looked the same. Same walk, same expression, same avoidance of eye contact when he was uncomfortable. But older. 4 years had passed for him too. Zaria. Devin. We stood there, the desk between us like a moat. It's you, he said. You own Meadowbrook. I'm part of an investment group that owns it, yes. You're evicting our family. I'm enforcing lease agreements your family is violating. There's a difference. He laughed, but it wasn't humor. This is crazy. This is some movie villain shit. You really hate us that much. Hate you? I leaned forward. I don't hate you, Devin. I don't feel anything about you. You're tenants in breach of contract. That's it. We're your family. The word hung between us like a grenade. Family, I repeated slowly. Where was family when I was sleeping in a storage unit? Where was family when I was showering at the community center? Where was family at my 20th birthday? My 21st? Any day in the last 4 years. His face shifted, guilt, anger, defensiveness all fighting for space. Mama was hurt. Mama was hurt? My voice could have cut glass. Devin left my office with a final message. They're going to fight this. Uncle Bernard knows a lawyer now. They're going to find out everything. Let them, I said. Everything I've done is legal. Can they say the same? The final eviction hearing was scheduled for April 30th. Mama, Uncle Bernard, and his wife. Devin had moved out voluntarily, the only smart choice he'd made. This time I didn't sit in the back. I walked in with Marcus, with Patricia beside me, and I sat at the plaintiff's table. The recognition happened in stages. Mama saw me first. Her face went through confusion, recognition, then something I'd never seen before. Fear. Zaria. Aunt Rhonda, already evicted but there for support, actually gasped. Oh my God. Uncle Bernard just stared, his lawyer looking between us, confused. The judge entered. All rise. The hearing proceeded exactly as the others had. Documentation of violations. Evidence of non-payment. Legal arguments. But this time when Mama's lawyer tried the hardship angle, Mama broke. That's my daughter, she said, pointing at me. My daughter is doing this. The judge looked at me, then back at Mama. Ma'am, that's irrelevant to these proceedings. She's doing this for revenge. Because she stopped herself, but too late. Because you what? The judge asked. The courtroom was silent. We had a disagreement when she was younger, Mama finished quietly. A disagreement that resulted in your teenage daughter becoming homeless? Patricia had done her homework, provided the judge with context. Mama's face crumbled. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, I said, standing. Your Honor, my personal history with these tenants doesn't change the facts. They violated their leases. They owe money they spent on luxuries. They want special treatment they haven't earned. That's what this case is about. The judge nodded. Agreed. Judgment for the plaintiff. 30 days to vacate. I won. But as I watched my mother cry in the courtroom, I realized something Patricia had tried to tell me months ago. Revenge doesn't heal you. It just proves you survived. That night Devin called. I'm sorry, he said. For what? For not opening the door. For not calling. For all of it. Okay. Just okay. What do you want, Devin? You want me to say it's fine? It's not fine. You were there. You could have helped. You chose not to. Now you're sorry because there are consequences. That's not the same as being sorry because you were wrong. So that's it. We're just done. I looked out my office window at the city lights. I owned 3 properties now. Had $200,000 in the bank. Had real friends. Had a future. No, I said. We're not done. Because done implies we had something to finish. We don't. You're just people I used to know who taught me an important lesson. I don't need you. I never did. I was just convinced I did. Thank you for breaking that illusion. I hung up. Mama's moving trucks came on day 29. I didn't watch. By then I was closing on my second complex across town. A place where new tenants would move in, pay rent, follow rules, and build their lives without drama. A place where family meant nothing and accountability meant everything. Sometimes I drive past that porch where I sat 4 years ago. The new owners painted it blue. It looks nice. Like it was never the scene of an ending. Or maybe it was always a beginning. I just couldn't see it yet. I'm 23 now. I own $2.3 million in real estate. And I sleep better than I ever did when I was trying to earn love from people who had none to give. That's not revenge. That's resurrection.